I hope you got some coffee in your cups. We are going to have our next sessions about City Challenge from New York. And let's just go directly into it. It will be moderated by Maja Østergaard from State of Green. So take it away, Maja.
Thank you, Maya. It's good to have a name sister in the house. So hi and welcome to this workshop on how Nordic companies can help solve New York's intelligent lighting challenges. As Maya said, I'm Maja Østergaard and I'm from State of Green, and I'm a project manager for smart cities. Now, just a little quick word on the State of Green. We are Denmark's marketing consortium when it comes to green solutions, and we spearhead the Danish marketing of green solutions internationally. And we do this by fostering relationships with international stakeholders that are interested in discussing their challenges in relation to their green transition. And we then share Danish cases, technologies, and solutions in the hope of helping and inspiring them. But State of Green is also project leading an export project called Access Cities. And it is the project partners that have identified and sought out the intelligent lighting challenge that we will bring to you today. During this workshop, we will have a look at how SMEs can enter new markets by pursuing local challenges. We will provide you with insights into commercial potential of smart lighting solutions in New York. And we will go through how to access a city market. But first, I will just give you a quick introduction to Access Cities. And we're going to take a look at cities as export markets in general. Now, Access Cities is a public-private project funded by the Danish Industry Foundation, and it runs for a period of 2.5 years. The aim of the project is to strengthen the sustainable urban development in 5 cities: New York, Munich, Singapore, Copenhagen, and Aarhus. And the way the project works is through the identification of city challenges. Now, a city challenge can be big or small. It can be systemic or product related. It can be an issue that a city government is facing, or it can be a private business opportunity identified in the city. And the goal of the project is then to connect owners of challenges with the owners of solutions, and in this way foster sustainable urban development. The project has quite a number of partners, where you'll be hearing from 2 of them today: Danish Cleantech Hub in New York and EIT Climate Kick. But why focus on cities as an export market? Well, by 2030, 6 out of 10 people will be living in urban areas. And towards 2050, this will only increase further. And this rapid expansion puts cities under massive pressure, with the increased CO2 emissions and climate change as being the most urgent challenges. Today, city authorities are experiencing large increases in traffic, in waste, in energy, and in water consumption. And as the pace of urbanization only quickens, cities will face great challenges related to sustainable waste and water management, mobility, climate adaptation, and energy. Now, to overcome these challenges, cities need smart solutions to ensure that they're optimized for sustainable economic activity, energy consumption, and positive environmental impact. And as cities grow, so do their political, economic, and technological power. cities can harness this power to act as forerunners in the green transition and drivers as a green economy. In the next 30 years, a large proportion of the world's GDP will be invested in cities, and it is vital for the global green transition that these investments are in sustainable solutions. Now, Nordic companies are in the forefront when it comes to sustainable green solutions. And this is because it's been the focal point of many Nordic countries and cities for many years. And in a global context, that creates great export opportunities when looking at cities as export markets. I will now hand over to Mille Munksgaard from Danish Cleantech Hub in New York that will give you an introduction to New York as a market and the Intelligent Lighting Challenge. Mille, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maya. And hi all. So, like Maya says, my name is Mille and I'm a project manager at the Danish Cleantech Hub in... okay, a lot of slides. So, I work as a project manager at the Danish Cleantech Hub in New York City. And today I've been asked to present some of the key takeaways from the roadmap we recently developed for smart city solution providers with an interest in New York market and exploring new markets in general. But first of all, I would just briefly like to say a couple of words about us, because we are based downtown Brooklyn at the Urban Future Lab, which is New York City's hub for smart cities. And we facilitate public-private partnerships, supports the visibility of Danish solutions and expertise, and we primarily focus on New York and the tri-state area. So we interact with more than 200 companies, startups, organizations every year, and we collaborate with local authorities and market influencers. So taking a step back to the roadmap. So as we are part of the Access Cities project, which Maya mentioned, we seek to accelerate access to these new, rapidly growing markets for SMEs and startups. And we have developed this roadmap with the aim of creating a simple overview of the smart city development in New York City, including themes such as public stakeholders you must not miss out on, how do you find a local investor, and of course tips and tricks on how you go to market. So obviously all of this originates from a local development which creates new market opportunities for Danish but also Nordic SMEs and startups. So we currently see a rapid development across the US, and many cities and states set very ambitious goals in the fields of smart city. So cities are, among other things, ranked on their ability to show recognition of involving outside stakeholders, and believe it or not, this is not what we experience everywhere in the US, so that's amazing. So if you have a look at the different cities, we can actually experience that New York is ranked number 1, whereas Boston, San Francisco, Chicago, and Seattle follows. So New York is definitely worth keeping an eye on and has one of the world's largest infrastructure systems, including public transit, water, waste, telecommunications, and much more. So New York really is an interesting case in this entire field, and is really in the front of developing but also testing all of these new solutions. Now let's see. So New York has a very ambitious smart city vision, and I'm not going to take you through all of the details, but of course this whole smart city strategy starts with the state and city's goal of creating a net zero economy. And in 2007, New York actually set a vision for the city through 2040 and commenced its smart city journey. So back then, data began to be systematically collected to improve policies across 10 different focus areas such as energy, climate change, and air quality. And in addition to that, the city also set this long-term strategy called One New York, which incorporates city initiatives such as diversity, growth, resilience, and safety as being their targets. So New York has been a leader when it comes to smart city technology since 2007, and it's so interesting to follow that journey. And on the slide, you can also see just some quite concrete targets and investments the city has already decided to make. So keep an eye on that. Smart city trends. Obviously, there is so many things happening in New York in this field, but I recently asked one of our collaborators at Mayor's Office of the Chief Technology Officer. I asked him what is the 3 most interesting things on your table at the moment. And he laughed because he said there was so many, but he was also able to present these 3 bullets for me. So of course, smart infrastructure in general, but also smart lighting and e-governance. And me, as I'm a Dane, I instantly decided to look into smart lighting because I knew that Danish and Nordic companies really had a competitive edge in this field, and I really was interested in seeing how we could explore that further. So in New York and in the US, we know that ambitious targets and strategies and regulations drive the transition, just like everybody everywhere else, but it also creates these new opportunities if you look at it from the outside. And for some reason, with all of these different strategies and investments, it becomes very tangible for us and everybody else what the market potential really is. So I've highlighted just a few of them right here. So I could just highlight that right now, and for 6 months ago, the governor of New York State, Andrew Cuomo, announced that he would invest $7.5 million in smart street lighting in New York, which can be used for different test beds. And I mean, the sky is really the limit, but it's with a very innovative idea behind. Also, we know that from now until 2029, there is more than $104.1 billion that is planned citywide. So that's not only smart lighting, but also a lot of different smart city activities. And we know that more than 500,000 streetlights will be replaced in New York by 2025. So, I mean, these numbers are really high, and for some might even be a little bit fluffy, but it is just to underline that something is really going on and it's worth keeping an eye on. So in this roadmap, we have also come up with a lot of tips and tricks, not elaborated here, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but the first and very important tip is for SMEs and startups to actually identify a local challenge. And we will talk more about how and what a local challenge could look like and what you should be aware of. But these challenges are actually widely distributed in like all cities, more or less. I mean, you can identify them everywhere, and they are a clue, or they should be a clue for you to understand that there is a real market opening and a burning platform. So these challenges really provide great opportunities to understand the local context and also consider how your product can be a plug-and-play solution, you could say, locally, and easily be implemented. So as a local challenge can be a direct gateway into a new market, we at Danish Cleantech Hub have actually teamed up with the Gate 21. and developed this Smart Light Challenge program and found a challenge for all of you in New York. So this is it. A lot of text, but I'll just very briefly go through it, and there will also be a website for it where there will be so much more information. But the challenge is divided into 2 activities. First, we have planned a solution workshop day where we will work with this concrete New York challenge, and we will provide insights on how does it really work in New York, what does the market look like, who is your buyers, and really provide you with some sort of toolbox where you get a real understanding of New York City and smart lighting market opportunities. But we will also work with challenges as an accelerator for you to actually explore your own market opportunities abroad in other cities, so you get an understanding of how do you pitch, who do you pitch to, and just make sure that you are more than ready for the second part, which is the pitch finale. And at the pitch finale, you will be able to pitch your solution to the challenge towards a panel consisting of course, the challenge owner, but also a variety of New York City public and private purchasers, such as representatives from the city agencies. So we are still looking to get all of the last details in place, but we are very happy to announce this challenge, and registration is now open for all Danish SMEs with an interest in this. So be open-minded, be prepared to get some new insights, and look forward to actually pitch your solution to a broad range of people who can also buy your solution in New York. And we look forward to say so much more, but until then, I'm very happy to welcome Lenny Vendinger, who is our partner in New York. And there you are, Lenny. Welcome.
Hello. Okay, so I guess I'm on.
Yeah, you are on. Your mic is great.
Okay.
Your picture is great.
Super.
So take it away.
All right, I just wanted to say good morning from New York, by the way. It's super early. I am the leader of International Nighttime Design Initiative. I'm also a lighting designer. And we have formed a group for the challenge with a site in Long Island City. So let's put up the slides, please. All right, so let's see the next one. Long Island City is what we like to call a city within a city, or a neighborhood within a neighborhood. It's an industrial business zone, and it's 5 minutes away from Grand Central Station. There is a waterfront, and it is under development. So there's a very complex set of spatial uses, citizens, workers, owners, and it's a really exciting place. So our partners looked at some goals. I'll move to the partners next, but at the moment, let's just talk about the lighting of the site in Long Island City. The first part of our challenge to you is to light and connect the lighting to time-based, energy-saving public lighting. Let's see, I can't really circle anything. Okay, so that's A. B is, in the long run, to create a living lab. So we really have 2 major goals. One is the right kind of lighting that attracts people, that feels safe, that is more than street light poles. That's the second paragraph. That is more than just our standard poles, luminaires. And B, the second part, is to create a living lab. And at the very end of this show, I'll explain a little bit a bit about the research you want to do and the showcase we want to create for that lab. Let's see the next one. So here are our partners in alphabetical order. We're all equal. The Long Island City Partnership is a neighborhood organization for Long Island City. And so they are a mix of owners, tenants, managers. They liaise with the mayor's office, with other governmental agencies. And this is the wider context of the site. I'm going to go down to Vorea. Vorea is what they call themselves is a real estate think tank. They're developers. And they own quite a bit of property in Long Island City. They believe in Long Island City as the way it is now, with the residents, workers, owners, beautiful spatial assets. And they believe in the improvement of the neighborhood as well. And then in the middle, you have International Nighttime Design. We're a consortium of 40 international academics and practitioners. Interdisciplinary means lighting, social research, mobility experts, night as culture, landscape architects, all of those sort of professions and academics who believe that night is a place. How can we make urban night times better? Next slide. Here are some specific problems we'd like you to solve. On the Vorea side, the Industrial Business Zone, that's the IBZ, would like to attract customers to their retail and hospitality offerings at night. So that means a safe outdoor place that feels welcoming. They want to connect their campus, and I'm going to go over the site next. They want to connect their campus to each other and to the public space, the sidewalks and the street that people walk to get there or drive to get there. I didn't mention, but when I get to the next slide, that's quite a big transit hub. So a lot of people who come from outside Long Island City or more from the edges do take a lot of public transit. They want to create a welcoming pedestrian environment in this pocket of Long Island City, which is our site, which we're getting to. Long Island Partnership, which is the context, has a comprehensive plan, which is about bridging neighborhood barriers, improving connections between the sub-areas of Long Island City. For one thing, they want to activate the uninviting spaces under elevated structures. There's a lot of overpasses or underpasses, depending on how you see them. You know, flyovers, which are highways or transit bridges. And a lot of people have to walk under those to get places to do essential things like laundromats or go to buy some coffee at the store. You have to go under an underpass. And if you're a night worker or somebody with packages trying to get somewhere or a vulnerable citizen, walking under a dark underpass is no fun. We're trying to create also orientation with better wayfinding, and I think that lighting fits under wayfinding, increase activity in the sidewalks, provide retail establishment with better access to customers in adjacent areas. So these are all nighttime. We're thinking nighttime right now because we're talking about lighting, how to connect the neighborhood with light. Next slide. Here's the location, and you see a nice big red arrow. Again, 5 minutes from Grand Central Terminal, which is in Manhattan, very easy transit. It's a mix of uses from working factories. I mean, it's a vibrant industrial community, which I think is so exciting. New hotels, breweries, we've got to have our beer, restaurants, parks, residents, schools, retail. Next. So this nice chart actually shows, maybe Pernille, you could point to it, MoMA, which is the Museum of Modern Art, PS1, that's high art. That's an art institution. They also have very near the downtown Court Square. They are 15 minutes from JFK Airport. Basically, what you see from the arrows pointing to a funny little street with blue lines, that's the center of the 12th Street campus, and that would be the main focus of the smart and intelligent lighting. Next. So the 12th Street campus includes, you can read the different numbers, includes a cafe and a kids' art school. It includes mixed-use commercial space. Super interesting, which is going to put them on the map as an innovation hub, is the New York Times space for Wirecutter, which is a tech review agency that reviews digital consumer gadgets. So that's very important. So the smart lighting is going to raise their profile as an innovation center. Number 2 is the actual plaza. Next. All right, so here's a wonderful collage. Right in the center, you'll see a great image of seated areas and trees and this wonderful blue painting. Where's our boulder? On the upper right, you see a boulder at the end of that plaza. It's in the ground. So this is a mapped street. However, it's got this giant boulder, which is a great feature. And the space is being used as a plaza. On the left and at the bottom, you see future plans, buildings under development. That's a rendering. And left at the top, you see the great view of our bridges and downtown Manhattan from wonderful LIC. Next. Okay, I need to wrap it up. Here's an evening context. Next. Here is a big event that Voria held summer before last. Beautiful images, big festival feeling. Next. So the living lab part is to do research on the intelligent lighting that we create to attract visitors. We'll be doing quantitative and qualitative research through the living lab aspect. Next. So I just wanted to say that wonderful Governor Cuomo incentives, etc. We wrote the book on that. So if you order our Municipal Smart Cities Street Light Version and Evolving Technology Guidebook, you can read all about the incentives and how cities in upstate New York are taking advantage of that, and our point of view. So I'll just close by saying our point of view is designing the night. It is public participation, community input as the basis of smart design. We invite you to help us with community input, engagement, then designing the lighting, the software that creates the changes and transformed night, evaluating that, and creating a living lab. I can't wait to meet you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Lenny. Great teaser for this challenge. We cannot wait to get more in depth, but more information will come, and we are just super excited to involve a lot of Danish companies into this challenge. So thank you, and that was all from me as well.
All right, so now we've heard about cities and their challenges. We've heard as cities and their challenges as export opportunities. And we've heard about a specific challenge in New York and how Danish or Nordic solutions may become involved here to solve that. Our next speaker, Jakob Stutz from EIT Climate Kick, will now take you through how you as an SME can tackle a challenge. Jakob, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maya. As Maya just said, my name is Jakob Stolt. I'm from EIT Climate Kick, and that is EU's biggest public-private partnership dealing with climate innovation, climate entrepreneurship, climate education. We are also a partner of the Access Cities project, and I'm here to talk about the challenges and what do you have to look into in a kind of generic way when you look at a challenge. we see this as an open challenge. That is that somebody somewhere has a problem or something they want some solutions for. So we are trying to find and exploit and expose new innovative solutions and ideas. And it could be more than just a technology. It could be concepts, it can be changed behavioral, it can be services, or it can be all the same mixed together. As we just heard from Lenny, this is not just about one technical solution, there's more to it than that. And when we say challenge, it could be another word for a problem or an opportunity or a desire to change something into something new. So that when we're talking about a challenge or a call or a contest or whatever, we see it as an option from a certain stakeholder that want ideas and solutions and inspiration to get further, to have something viable in whatever the challenge is. We just talked about SMEs, companies, and we're also addressing you as companies, but it is not only about companies as such, but it's important for us. But most solution often demands for a more holistic approach with input and knowledge and inspiration for all kinds of people. It could be citizens, it could be large companies, it could be researchers, but of course also companies that have solutions that addresses the things that we just heard from Lenny. But the thing is that in the end, the challenge owner is looking for solutions that in the big end will be either validated or implemented into, for instance, the 12th Street campus, as we just heard. It is not always easy to define a challenge, because sometimes it's a desire, sometimes it is political wish to do something about a certain area in a city, to develop it, to save money, to do something about the CO2 reduction. So when and if you find a concrete challenge, you have to ask yourself a question as the challenge owners: what is it exactly that we're looking for? And you need to ask that question: what is it that we want to achieve with this? And often the answer is we want something new, we want something state of the art, we want something that is cheaper, better, much more sustainable than other solutions that we have seen before. So when you look into challenges in these days with sustainable urban development, you need to look into what is new, because otherwise it might just be a tender. Let's say we just want this kind of lamppost for lighting up this area. As we just heard Lenny said, there's more to it than that. That's why we also heard from Lenny, and we also saw the slides from Mille before. Yeah, it is, sorry. We have a thorough description, but the description can be worked with along the way. So the most important thing, as I just stressed before, that is, what is the aim of the call? What exactly is it that the challenge owner want to achieve? And sometimes that isn't that clear. And that sometimes you have to go into dialogue with the challenge owner. But it needs to be some kind of a formulated vision from the challenge owner. This is what we want to achieve. And we just heard from Lenny and saw from the presentation that will be available to you. What is it that you're looking for? If you want to go into this as a challenge to see there might be a market, a solution for us to chip in here, what are the innovation and what are the criteria for us to be picked as one of the maybe finalists for the pitch that Mille just mentioned earlier. So that also has to be clear. What is it that they're actually looking for? What kind of measures and criteria are they looking at? Is it okay to just come with a vague idea, or do we have to come with a fully developed solution that both includes technical and services and behavioral aspects or whatever? So that is something you also have to go into dialogue. If it's not precisely written by the challenge owners, how do you evaluate our idea? So that is also something that sometimes can be a little vague, because is it on a real criteria that we are chosen for the pitch finale or not? And what are your incentives to participate in such a challenge? Of course, in bigger challenges, small calls, open calls, there might be prizes, there might be pilots, or there might be other things that would be incentivizing you to participate in such a call. Sometimes it's just the chance for you to be exposed to a city government or the right departments or decision makers or whatever, or maybe create some partnerships or create new relationships within the domain that you are working. So you should also consider what incentives could be relevant for you. And as we just heard from Mille, there are a lot of money in smart lighting, not only in the US but elsewhere. So that might be incentive for you to jump into this market opportunities. And in that case, you should always talk to Mille regarding that. And such a description also has to include some technicalities about the timeline. We saw there's a workshop on the 3rd of November. What is the application procedure for that? The pitch finale, do I have to go to Copenhagen for that? And so on and so forth. We will elaborate more on that, and you can contact Mille for that for details, but that is something that is interesting for you to dig into. So, how good are you? What can you deliver? Was what Lenny just told us, was that interesting for you? If you go into a challenge or call or an opportunity for you to chip in your expertise if you're a company, what are your core competencies? Does this apply to you? Does this sound interesting? Even though something of that was a little vague, living lab. No, we're not into living lab, we're into lampposts. But maybe there could be something in between that you might be able to contribute in that way. How do your competencies fit within the challenge? And then you sometimes need to know more about the challenge and go into conversation with the challenge owner. But look at it, does it fit our competencies? Does this challenge actually make it sensible for us to go into such a challenge and give it a try? What new things can we bring to the table? And then I'm coming back to that novelty thing again. We're looking for innovation. We're looking at new ways, sustainable ways of developing our urban cities. You can't say urban cities, but I did. Nevertheless, what new things? That is what we're looking for. Is that a totally new concept, and how do we mix things together? And do we see things in the bigger picture, as Lenny just explained? We are not just talking about the light, we are talking about the light, but in an untraditional way, but also combining it with a living lab that would suit that area of the 12th Street campus. I think this is a very interesting challenge that Lenny presented, but it's also very complex. It is not just a plug-and-play solution that they're looking for here. So that is why complex challenges often demands complex solutions. That is, the one-off solutions do not fit a challenge like this. I do not think so. So that is a combination of technologies, of behavior, concepts, place-based criteria that is given by the situation and the buildings and the blocks and the transportation and the infrastructure that we just saw from Lenny's picture. So that is why I think a challenge for this really calls for collaboration and co-creation. So maybe you should consider what competences could be interesting, what partners could be relevant for you to join if you want to come in with some solutions for this. And the one important thing, as this is not a tender, but that's a challenge. As you heard Lenny, she was looking really much forward to hearing from you and see what you can find out. Do not see Lenny and that area and the challenge owners as biased. You can see them as a partner. You have to go into dialogue and discussion with them on the way to find out what you're looking for. If it's not precisely described in the description of the slide or the conversation you were having afterwards, try to get as much information out of her and the project partners and the consortia as such, and deliver your challenge into that solution. And the aim of that solution workshop that Mille is mentioning on the 3rd of November is exactly to kind of co-create, not having different kind of SMEs sitting each corner, but see how can we look at this as an opportunity for all of us to work together. I think that was all for me. I'll leave the table to Maja again.
Thank you, Jakob. Well, we certainly hope that that inspired you guys out there behind the screens to participate in this challenge. Now, I have to say that Access Cities covers other markets as well. We cover other challenges, so a good idea would be to go on to accesscities.org and have a look at all the challenges in there. But if you're interested in this specific challenge, then you're more than welcome to reach out to us and to Mille in particular, if this is something you would like to hear more about, and if it's something that you might have the solution for. Thank you.